So you built that business up starting from scratch, you said in 2017. Where are you today with the business?
So I built and ran that business from 2017 to about 2020. And in a very short amount of time, my co-founder was one of my closest friends.
Yeah.
And we started from, just him and me on his couch in his 1-bedroom apartment, all the way up to, 80 concurrent clients, 23 full-time employees, and millions of dollars in revenue.
Nice.
Ghostwriting it's a really, really amazing small business.
Noelle.
So you actually talk about ghostwriting. So that's like one of your major things. And obviously you could see on the back on the wall there, that book, Real Estate Millionaire Secrets. I have like 4 books that are Amazon bestsellers. And I actually have a 5th one that just came out called
Congrats.
Pick a Horse. And it is a #1 bestseller on Amazon. And of course, being honest, I did have some ghostwriting help. Now, I am a little bit, how they say, A-type personality. So I really want to be involved, but I don't type my book. So let's talk about the whole ghostwriting and as a business, because I do think that's an amazing business. I've used a ghostwriter. And so I don't have to type things out. I can send audios. They'll ask me questions and I just record a bunch of things. Then it gets transcribed. So kind of talk about your ghostwriting business, your agency, how you grew that. Let's get into that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many fun directions to take this. I think first, even just sort of the way that you presented that, right? Like you're aware, and a lot of people have this feeling or this stigma around ghostwriting. Yeah. They're like, I had help.
Right.
As if, like if you wanted to grow on YouTube, of course you might get an editor at some point.
Right.
Like we all should. we all collaborate and ask for help, but for some reason with writing, there's this weird, like, you're not allowed to ask for help. Meanwhile, if you take a book deal, your editor at a publishing house is basically doing a lot of the same stuff, right?
Correct.
So I think that when it comes to something like ghostwriting, you have to realize that all working with a ghostwriter is adding leverage to the things that you've already thought through. And you can clarify your thinking by making YouTube videos. You can clarify your thinking through conversations. You can clarify your thinking through coaching or mentorship. So when you sit down and you go, I want to write my next book, well, it's actually really low leverage for you to sit there and play with the sentences and swap out adjectives, because you've already done the highest leverage part of the task, which is what you want to say.
Right.
And you can defer the lower leverage work to someone else. And so that was my whole aha. I started my ghostwriting agency back in 2017, very early. And we built the first ghostwriting agency for founders and executives. And the opportunity that I saw was, if you're a founder, if you're an executive, if you're a celebrity, if you're a Grammy-winning musician, whoever it is, you have an immense amount of knowledge. You have clarified your thinking, but it is so low leverage for you to sit there and write 300 pages of a book, or for you to write 1,000 words in an article.
Right.
And so the opportunity is going, okay, well, there's lots of writers out there who don't have 30 years of experience, but they would happily sit in the sentences for 8 hours a day. Right. So you get this really magical combination when you pair these two types of people together. And that's really at its core what ghostwriting is about. Yeah. And then another thing too is just recognizing that ghostwriting is probably one of the most lucrative side hustles you could possibly acquire.
Talk about that, because I've paid, I won't even say numbers, you know what I mean? But obviously 5 figures for one book, you know what I mean? Of course, you sell the book, you make the money back. I usually can make the money back before the book is even published, with some of the things that I know with marketing. But it is very lucrative to have a book. So I could assume that doing the writing of them, and all of the people that want to do books, and it could be very lucrative. So let's get into that, because you actually, again, one of your breakout YouTube videos was 8 most lucrative ghostwriting services, has over 67,000 views. People are obviously very interested in this topic. And again, we'll put a link to that YouTube video, because it is absolutely amazing, the different lucrative ghostwriting services that you're naming. So let's get into that, because you've made a lot of money doing this. So very interesting.
Yeah. So for context, I've done it all. I've ghostwritten books, I've ghostwritten articles, I've ghostwritten educational email courses, you name it. Okay. They all can work, I have actually found that books are one of the more taxing ones. You know, they take a lot longer. And when you, even if you charge 50 grand for a book, when you divide that by the number of hours that goes into it, it actually becomes a lot less profitable than if you were to ghostwrite something like an educational email course for someone, or a bunch of articles, or social media content. So first of all, they all work, but there's different vehicles. And second of all, you have to realize the writing component of ghostwriting is the easiest part to learn.
Okay.
It is not hard to teach someone how to write. I do it all day long.
Yeah.
The opportunity is recognizing where you have what I like to call an information advantage. So an information advantage is where you've been in an industry for a period of time, and you understand things about that industry that the average person outside of that industry does not understand. Okay. So when you recognize, you're like, I've worked as a project manager in a SaaS company for 5 years. Okay. If you could even just power level your writing ability by 50%, like just become reasonably proficient, you could ghostwrite on the side for other SaaS companies very easily, because you have that information advantage. You already know all of the things that go into the content.
Right.
And so this is to me, the way I like framing it is that ghostwriting is a dividend on your talent. It's a dividend on your skill. It's a dividend on the information that you've collected. And so anyone that has any sort of business or information advantage, or understands an industry, or even a hobby, you can very easily go ghostwrite for other people in that industry, because you already speak the lingo. You already understand the problems. You already understand the outcomes.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Okay, so let's get into that a little bit more, because obviously we're writing a book. You said a really good point there that I want to talk about. So ghostwriting, everybody assumes we're talking about just books. And for my case, it is mostly books, but obviously I do have ghostwriters for my social media and for my emails and different things like that. And the world is not sitting and typing every single email. In many cases, they will take a YouTube video that I've already done, or a podcast like this one that I've already done, where I gave a lot of information, and then pull out. So what is the process if someone wanted to do this as a business, like, and make tons of money? Like you said, it's the best side hustle. You know, I'm going to argue that real estate is, but okay. I like the idea that it really could be, because I think also too, it's probably not as expensive to get started. So talk about some benefits of starting a ghostwriting business, and how one would do that.
Well, let's put them together, right? I mean, the beauty of services and stuff like this is you have zero startup cost. Like, how do you start ghostwriting? You literally just start. You just start pitching people. And so what does it look like? And it's funny, because in a different variation, I've done this as well, but what does it look like for you to have a super lucrative side hustle? You can make 5-10 grand a month as a ghostwriter, not very hard. And then you take that money and then you go buy buildings with it. All of a sudden, that is a really amazing side hustle to have. Right. Yeah. So there's all sorts of different ways of thinking about it, but in terms of working with clients, you usually have three. Two is more common, but there's three different archetypes. One is the person who's someone like you. You're running a creator-led business. You already create a ton of content on your own.
Yes.
You create YouTube videos. You have a podcast. You're already creating things. The way a ghostwriter would work with you is by adding leverage. By going, hey, you already have this giant library of video content. Let's turn it into text-based content, right? Let's turn it into emails. Let's turn it into Twitter threads. Let's turn it into, right? So what they're really doing is they're just adding leverage to the thing that you already have. You've done the hardest thing, which is the thinking, and they're just scaling it.
Okay.
The second type of client is someone who goes, I don't really have a library to pull from. I'm a startup founder. I'm a business owner. I'm an executive. But I have a ton of knowledge locked in my head. I have 30 years of pattern recognition, and it's stuck here.
Yeah.
And so the ghostwriter then goes, no problem. This is how I built my whole agency. We worked with over 300 different executives doing this.
Okay.
You go, no problem. We're going to get on a call, and for 30 minutes, I'm going to ask you questions. And we're going to record that call. I'm going to transcribe it. And then I'm going to take the transcription using your own words, and I'm going to whittle it down into whatever asset we're trying to create. Turn it into an article, turn it into a Twitter thread, turn it into a YouTube script, whatever it is. So in that sense, instead of pulling from an existing library, you're extracting the knowledge from the person's brain through interviewing them and recording them.
Pretty easy.
Which is also not a hard skill. Like,
and not expensive.
Not expensive. The craziest part about it to me is that you basically have a business where you get to go to really successful people and ask them any question you want and then send them an invoice.
Right. I was just about to say, I was like, this actually sounds amazing.
It's incredible.
Because and Tony Robbins kind of talks about that. Like, I've interviewed billionaires about their investing, and they're just telling me the answers for free. And then you added the key point to it. Then you send them an invoice. So not only did you get you're writing the information, so you are doing a service for them. So it's not like you're just stealing their information, but at the same time, you yourself are picking up some really great information. You know what I mean? Like, you're teaching me something. I probably could teach you something. Long story short, if you're talking to someone that's very good at what they do, just talking to them and asking them questions and getting answers is going to give you more knowledge. So to add the key to it of getting a paycheck, that's pretty smart.
It's incredible. Like, the people that you'll get to talk to, the rooms you'll get to sit in is unparalleled. Like, you're never going to get in those rooms unless you provide something. And this is such an amazing service.
It is great value.
And then the third archetype, which is the least common, and honestly, it's probably not something that you would even want until you become more proficient. But I had a number of clients where they basically were like, I don't really just want you to do ghostwriting. I want you to do ghost thinking. Where they aren't the ones every week telling you, like, these are the things that I want to share. They're essentially like, you know, I'm a founder in the health and wellness space. Make me sound smart.
Oh.
And so what you do there is, yeah, I mean, the content might not be as differentiated as an executive who's like, I have frameworks I've been thinking about for 30 years. But what you're really doing is you're going, okay, no problem. I'm just going to go research.
Yeah.
We're going to write pieces on industry trends. We're going to pull from new data that's been coming out. We're going to, you know, summarize all of the problems that we already know. Like, I can just research. I can ask ChatGPT what the problems are that people have. Right. So that is a smaller number of people. That's by no means the majority, but that's another type of client you will run into.
Okay. No, I have a lot of people that have, great stories inside of them. And I tell people, one of the reasons so just giving my, origin story or whatever. I started broke basement, parents' basement, got a mentor, started wholesaling, then started fixing and flipping, then rental properties, became a millionaire, quit my job, start teaching it to people, start a YouTube channel. Then once I started a YouTube channel, everyone was like, you need a book. You need a book. You need a book. But there's a lot that goes into making a YouTube channel, especially 5 days a week, every single week, nonstop. That was Noelle Randall for like 3 years, 5 days a week, no misses, no skipping days. So to write a book,
that's awesome.
Seemed like, are you out of your freaking mind? You want future kids. Noelle has 7 kids, 5 that I gave birth to. So I got kids. I got stuff to do, got husbands and and all this going on, and moms and dads and things to take care of. So the feat and the thought of writing a book just seems so overwhelming to me. But when, like you said, I got the help, because again, you'll almost never finish the book if you have to really sit down and write it yourself. And this is me, Noelle Randall, with 2 master's degrees, telling you I've wrote not a dissertation, a thesis. I've written 100-page papers, and the idea of writing a book just seems so daunting and so heavy. But when I got the ghostwriter, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, because then I could stay in my strength, which was selling the book. And that's why I said I was able to sell the book and make hundreds of thousands of dollars with pre-orders. So I could do what I do, make my content, tell you about this book. And all I had to do was record certain things. Like you said, the person would do the same thing that you said, ask me questions. I would answer them. We would get on some time Zoom. They would have a list of questions, and then they have follow-up questions to what you said. And and it just became these really great books that people have really enjoyed. So I've really enjoyed working with ghostwriters. And I think that for most people, they have this fear that working with a ghostwriter is cheating.
Yep.
You think that? Would you agree?
People think that. It's a massive faulty belief. It's not true.
Massive.
But yeah.
Massive. Where did that come from? Where did this false belief come from that it is cheating? I think maybe they taught us that in school and we don't realize we're adults now. We can do whatever we want to do. But the second thing is I didn't realize too the value that a ghostwriter brings. And that's why if people are looking for a side hustle, I absolutely do agree with you. Like I said, I'd argue with you that real estate is the best, but obviously you're right. There are some costs that go into it and the massive value that is brought. If someone can write books and articles and social media, so you can stay in your special thing that you do instead of you trying to learn how to write a book or how to write articles or how to write emails to that get clicks and things like that. You would do so much better with it. So you built a successful ghostwriting agency, like I said, that made over $180,000 per month. Okay. You posted that video has over 28,000 views. Okay. I'm looking at my notes here. You have some amazing content on your YouTube channel. So you built that business up starting from scratch. You said in 2017. Where are you today with the business?
So I built and ran that business from 2017 to about 2020. And in a very short amount of time, my co-founder was one of my closest friends. Yeah. And we started from, just him and me on his couch in his 1-bedroom apartment all the way up to, 80 concurrent clients, 23 full-time employees, and millions of dollars in revenue.
Nice.
The problem was we started to realize that ghostwriting it's a really, really amazing small business. It is very challenging to grow a ghostwriting agency into the size of, like, you see these huge ad agencies, right? Like, you're probably not going to build $100 million ghostwriting agency.
Okay.
And the bigger that we grew, the more complexity we started to see and the more that we didn't really enjoy the business past a certain point. Yeah. I think if we had stopped around 5 employees, maybe doing, 60, 80 grand a month, somewhere around there, that would have been a perfect business. We just didn't know what we had. Right. And then very coincidentally, like 4 months before COVID hit, me and my co-founder decided, we were really burned out. We scaled really, really quickly. We're going to scale this business back, and just him and I are going to work with our top tier clients, increase our rates, work less. It was a very much like work-life decision. Yeah. And then COVID hit 4 months later, and that ended up being a very lucky decision because our business would have been affected a lot. Yeah. And then about a year later, I started building new types of writing businesses. So it started with a cohort-based writing course called Ship 30 for 30, where we would teach people how to start writing on the internet, which is based on a book that I wrote called The Art and Business of Online Writing. And then about a year and a half ago, we started a training program called Premium Ghostwriting Academy, where we now, instead of having an agency, we now train people on how to build themselves into ghostwriters and scale themselves into ghostwriting agencies. Nice. Because how many people in the world are there that can say they've built and scaled a ghostwriting agency? Not very many. Like, I literally built the first one. Right. So it's really cool to now have a training program where I can pass along all of these lessons learned. And we've had close to 1,000 people go through it. We have ghostwriters all over the world. Now other businesses are like, where do I find a ghostwriter? Well, we're training them on all of the things that I learned myself. So yeah, it's a very cool training program. This is one of our hats I'm wearing.
I won't get close. Okay, so say it one more time, a little bit slower, and of course we'll put those links in the description box for everyone. So you actually teach people because you've had a successful ghostwriting business, and you also have realized too what is the kind of the best size. It's funny, we similarly, I could say I have a similar situation with the coaching. So obviously I do real estate, and then I started coaching students on how to do real estate, and it gets to a certain point where it's not as fun because sometimes you have too many students, too many different places, too many different business plans, and it just gets overwhelming. And so you got to kind of find your sweet spot. So I love that you are teaching more people to do what you do, because then that way it's like each one teach one, and we can really have a more massive effect. And that's one of the things that I always subscribe to. I love for my students to be successful, and then they become a coach. I'm not one that thinks that, oh, you're going to steal my business, or, I'm creating competitors. That was what another entrepreneur told me. You're creating competitors. No. And I'm like, no such thing. This is an abundant world, billions of people. I cannot coach all of them. So I would love coaching people and then teaching them to be a coach as well, so that they can learn, do, teach.
Cool. I love that mentality. Yeah, I am very not of the mindset that this is a world of scarcity and you know, if one person succeeds, that means another person doesn't. That's just not
Right,
true.
foolishness, complete foolishness. I always stop talking to people when they say stuff like that. I'm like, you obviously don't understand the universe. You're not understanding the universe. Okay, so one more time, how could people reach out to you? How could they connect with you? Obviously, we're going to put links to that YouTube channel because you are giving out some great information on digital businesses, on not just ghostwriting, but how to, sell digital products, how to convert people to become clients. Like you have some great content around that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to become a ghostwriter, go to premiumghostwritingacademy.com.
Okay.
But otherwise, I'm super active on Twitter, Nicolas Cole 77. I always love chatting with
Isn't it
people.
X, sir?
Oh yeah, gee, you know, I keep trying. It's just
I
burned
was
into
like,
my
what are you
brain.
talking about, Twitter? How old
Yeah,
are you? I'm
I
older
know.
than you. I'm way older than you. What are you?
I'm still getting used to it. But yeah, you know, I love answering people's questions or you know, mentoring writers. Like these are all
Yeah.
things that I had to learn the hard way. So I really do enjoy passing it along to other people who are passionate about writing.
I love it. So Premium Ghost Writer Academy.
Ghost Writing Academy.
Ghostwriting. Premium Ghostwriting Academy.com. We're going to put a link in the below for you for that. This has been an amazing conversation, Cole. Any last words before we let everyone go?
No, I mean, thanks for having me on. I'm again humbled that I am even in the same conversation in the YouTube space. This is a very new thing for me. So I think you are actually the first person who has said, I've seen you on YouTube and let's talk.
Yeah.
That is a super new thing. So
And
just
here's a fun
thanks.
part. So fun fact, YouTube, I actually like that they have changed their algorithm up a little bit because there was this time where only the big YouTubers dominated and that's all that came in your feed. But I can honestly say, as of late, I've been seeing a lot of smaller YouTube channels that have great content, great information coming in the feed now. And so that is that is so heartwarming to me that there are
Yeah.
more people that are actually being able to get their videos seen. Like I said, you have one that has almost 100,000 views on it. It's amazing videos. It has a great topic, very catchy, great content. You give that full script on how to convert. So it's amazing, great content. It was so amazing talking to you, Cole.
Well, thanks very much. Yeah.
All right.